Morning. So last weekend and this weekend are the first time in about 33 years that this blacksmith shop has actually had a blacksmith in it, blacksmith thing. So it's we're just trying to get back to this rhythm. It's been a museum ever since, you know, for the last 30, 40 years, but actually being in here is quite an honor. So we're another guy with you today as well. But yeah, we're just working on making some tools, trying to get back in and stock up the shop with different tongs for different purposes and things like that. Nothing too exciting today, but.
This was a lot of fun to watch here at the BC Forest Discovery Centre in North Cowichan on Vancouver Island. This is the Vancouver Island Blacksmiths Association, and there are 2 people working this day that I visited, but I've also seen other days where there have been 5 or 6 blacksmiths at work here, so it's fun to observe. And as you'll see in this video, they do a great job of explaining what they're doing. During summer 2025, I think these demonstrations happen most Saturdays, midday. I think it was 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., but you can check the Facebook page for BC Forest Discovery Centre if you want to be sure. These blacksmith demonstrations happen in the Cowichan blacksmith shop. That's the building in the far background middle of this photograph. It's in the camp building section of the upper grounds of the museum. One of the interesting things to watch in this video is just how quickly the color of the metal changes as it's being worked on, which of course is the metal cooling down after being in the forge. It's an interesting visual. Oh, and a few times you'll hear a steam whistle in the background, and that's from the visitor train pulled by the Hillcrest Shea steam locomotive.
This shop was in operation from around 1920 to about 1975 out past Lake Cowichan, and it serviced the KQ's logging camp. They got all their axes sharp and all their steak knives sharp and all this, and made the wires that they pulled the logs into the bores with. And this shop was bought and brought here in the 90s, and it's basically sat here as a museum ever since. So yeah, it's kind of the idea that preserve the forestry history and
not much has changed.
Of course, they used to use the coal over here, and turns out the fire marshal didn't like that, so now we've got propane.
Yeah.
Because it's a museum and all, they definitely don't want us to burn it down.
Yes.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Fine line between real life and the truck preserve.
Exactly. The nice thing is there's no coal smoke. You know, there's not big billowing black smoke. It's like a barbecue.
Yeah.
So it's in that way I prefer it.
I guess it's healthier for you too, so.
Oh, certainly, yeah. I don't need the black lung. Yeah, my shop down in Langford is a coal blacksmith shop, and you know, it's in some ways it's better. It's a lot hotter, but if I get distracted and I talk even for this amount of time, I pull my metal out and it would actually turn from a solid to a gas. It just burns and melts, vaporizes, and then it's sparkling, and that sparkling is all the carbon atoms ripping out of their molecular bonds out of the steel, and then you actually burnt it. It's no longer, it won't get hard, it won't hold an edge.
Right.
It's nothing.
You're back to square one, starting all over
Exactly.
again.
These are a little loose, so I'm just tightening up the rivet before I continue. So it moves pretty easy when it's hot. You can put it basically up against something, anything you need to, and bend it however you need to. Just like, it's a really cool thing what the steel does when it's hot. See, now they're a lot tighter, they're not just flopping around everywhere.
Yeah. short taper, and you'll see it develop. I'll isolate some of the material, and we'll make a little heat. Changing locations.
Yeah, I just had to tighten the rivet up.
Right, but it's slower and more predictable, and it's a clean portion. So you can go rest it, rest it, rest it, rest it, rest it, it's a flat. Get a nice clean portion. Shapes, well, for somebody that might see it die, forming die. So you can use every edge of the apple. Yeah, like there's no sacred part. It's just part of the apple.
When I'm trying to keep my work flat, I'm hitting the same spot each time.
Also, very similar. So you've got handles you call dolphins, right? It's the only time when men will admit they play with dolphins. And I think there's so many interesting t-shirt slogans for Blacksmith. But an anvil basically is a hammer without a stick. And it's just a lot bigger. We get free energy from it because of the way it's built. So when the hammer hits the steel at the right temperature, and it bounces back up. So you watch that. It's going about 10 inches up. Different hammers react differently. So that's free energy from the bigger block of steel. More of a sculpture, big octopus or whatever. And you're just really glorifying.
Like a quick S-hook, some decorative, hang stuff on.
You're actually more suited
Can never have too many.
for this than I am.
This kind of thing.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Just to hang different things and
Right.
yeah. Love a good
So
S-hook.
the neighbor came by.
These tongs I would say are pretty much done now.
Okay.
Yeah. I started these last week when I was here.
And I just said a saying that when it's predictable, I think you're impressive. You know, like if you don't know what you're doing yet, and you're using different hammers, but you know exactly what tool to grab.
You
You
can always tell if it's too hot still because water vaporizes at 100 degrees. So if water's steaming up and it's too hot to touch, otherwise you
predictability in forming the metal.
can tell if it stays wet, it's going to be cold enough to touch. So they're actually a bit long now because they were a bit thicker. I threw them out. But now when they grab material,
You told me once for 20 minutes. Please be quiet when you
a bit
grab.
of spray in them so they'll hold quite nice.
Because you can hear too much and I can't implement everything you've told me.
These were just maybe 5/8 round bar before I started. You just make two identical shapes. They fit together. Put a little rivet through. This is kind of the process here. These ones broke. I think they're rewelded. That's the idea. These are not quite the same as the one I did.
So here we can isolate it. I'm saying use the different shapes of the apple. You just always want to watch your dimension. Because once you've gone too thin, you can't go fatter. So now we just start isolating that material. And this can all look very plump and rough.
You can go fatter, but it's upsetting.
It's upsetting.
That's the process
It's a
name.
blacksmithing terminology.
Ah, tough crap.
Yeah, so that's red hot, right? But red hot is only about 600 degrees. So the heat I want is bright orange. I want it so that I don't have to lean into the hammer because then it gets more heat. If it's hot enough, it'll move like plasticine.
Yeah.
Later.
So we have little hot rounds for the phones for round stuff.
I got something to work.
Oh, we're gonna need 4 of those.
Ben's, those tongues work for that.
Yes, sure they will. Oh man, I gotta just buck up and buy a pair. These are next level.
They feel comfortable.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the bit has no sharp edges.
I'm sure you give me a deal on a bundle too. Maybe I.
Heated?
No, I'm sure
Oh,
you
yeah.
would. I'm sure that you would. Okay. maybe 100 hours sort of thing, like quite a long time.
Now, Dan might be willing to show you. Dan is
It's interesting to see the change of the color indicating the change of the heat as you go. Just
Yep.
the fact that it's not in the forge.
Exactly, and you can see it glowing red. That's still going to be 700 degrees.
Yeah.
But when it comes out and it's bright orange, that's a good 2,000 degrees Celsius. It's
So
perfect.
even though
Oh yeah, look at that thing. That's where all the fun happens. That's the nice thing about the propane forge. It's so consistent. I can leave my metal in there for 20 minutes now and just talk, which I've been known to do. And then I pull it out and it's usable. It's not just gone. And in coal, it gets so darn hot. It gets hot enough in the coal that you can get 2 pieces of steel, like bright yellow, put them together and hit them, and they're the same piece of steel now. It just welds together immediately. It's pretty wild.
So you want to spare the anvil. So let's say here. That's the same technique as in our rule.
So the first heat, I was just taking it from a round bar up to a point. Now I'm going to work on like the midsection. I'm going to square it up so that when I twist it, it'll look kind of like that, but a bit longer of a twist hopefully.
It's because we're
And
not
then the ends,
stepped close enough.
I'll get it a similar length and then work on that after.
But you know, we're kind of like abstract. Is that correct? Are you talking about powder line?
That's pretty next level. I've only done that successfully once, but I haven't tried that many times.
Yeah. Well, even on a press, if you have a one-shot press, you can make masses.
Oh yeah. It's hard to do with a hammer, but you basically just need mechanical help. You need like a borax sort of thing where flux, and as it melts, what it does is it actually absorbs all the oxygen from the area, so that your freshly heated metal can get a layer of oxidization like rust, but more like flake. I don't know. This stuff here, that's the enemy of making the meshes escape away. And it's just hard to feel. It's flake a lot, you know? But yeah, like it's escape, that's what inhibits the Damascus. Yeah, at least in my escape. Yeah. What's really cool is what I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the tip, a little tiny curl. Then I'm going to cool that tip down in the water while the rest is still hot.
Okay.
Then I can hammer that tip and it won't deform
So say
to
it's
make the
done
little
when you
tiny
think
curl
it's
at the
done.
end.
I mean, that's the thing. I could cut that off, and I could make 100 more of those, and put it along top of the railing. So we go, oh, what are those? How the fence made?
So then I just get just the tip wet.
And say, well, what is it? Well, I don't know. It stops birds from perching on my.
And you can
fence.
hammer that cold bit into
On my
it
fence.
without.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll.
Nice sharp anvil here, John. What that did is a real tight curl. That'll then bend back on itself. Just little details, right? Like you can go buy a hook, Canadian iron or Capital Iron, but it's gonna be, it's not gonna have the little touches,
Exactly. Somebody hit it.
Yeah, sure, it's only $5, but I can spend an hour making one. I don't know.
And have fun.
Yeah, hopefully.
Know how it's
Yeah.
We'll flip it around you and see what it does. Yeah, so you can see that
If you miss the hot steel, it'll bounce back pretty good. Like a trampoline. The first thing I do is get that tip wet.
On the top, I've used
Come over.
here. Yeah, right. The want is great. That's another word for artistic. Right? There's no such thing as a mistake. So if I were, so now you take your botany hobby.
Need a smaller horn. So I'm gonna hook over just the horn and then hit it on the back, which will straighten the hook out. Now it's more of a hook shape like you were all hoping it would be.
There's a brush on the vise.
I like to just clean up the sides. This dull red temperature. Before I put it back in the forge, I like to do what's called planishing. Use your hammer, gently hit it, and it gets rid of the other hammering marks. That's kind of, you do that before you put it in, so that when I pull it out, it's fresh heat. I don't have to waste that really good heat on trying to straighten something or make it look different. And I can just use that first heat as what it's intended for. Really change the feel. Now he's isolated the leaf, he's going to be tapering that neck down.
Yeah, that's right. And I was working at a place and the boss said, the customer is not your customer. The customer is my customer. You work for me. He said, your customer is the next man down the line. So if I'm doing a step, and then you're doing a step, and you're doing a step, I have to do the step well enough that the next person can follow me. So if I carry my step through well, and I don't have any cracks, you do the heat treatment. So the steel's hard enough to hold an edge. When the guy comes and files it, we all win. So you just want to do each step as best you can. I'm not sure, but I think it has to do with case hardening steel. So what we're using is a mild steel, which means really low carbon. So high carbon is between sort of like 0.5% and 1.5% carbon. That's incredibly low.
Yeah, spring steel is going to be 5160, so it's 0.6% carbon.
Yeah, 0.6
That's
to
bad.
1% against, nearly 99%.
Yeah, it's a very small amount.
Yeah, so when people say ironmonger, steel is iron plus carbon, but just the tiniest amount of carbon. And that means you can harden it. And, a spring or a saw blade. You got a little reminder about the hot steel?
I might have tried to microaggress me a little bit. It's okay.
So,
Just a wee one.
So is there a reason you only have one glove on? Is that for grip?
Just because the hammerhead doesn't usually get too hot to the heat.
Right, okay.
That's why it's funny that I got a burn on my finger because it's not a good day at blacksmithing unless you get a little burn.
Yeah.
Just a wee one.
so you see how it's flexed a little bit? I don't need to be too
Black
worried
steel
about
can
that.
still be 500 degrees.
If I want to
so-
straighten it out every time, I'm just flexing that, right? But it is even heat. The heat tells you a lot. The heat is a friend of yours. So I'm just going to knock in the corners.
So I'm going to be in the vise soon because I'm going to basically put the metal in the vise here, right?
Yeah, okay.
And I'm going to twist it.
Okay, thanks.
Grab this above where I want to twist it and then rotate it maybe 3 times, 2 to 3 times, and if it's the right heat for long enough heat, then it should be a nice even twist. That might not be, but again, we gotta get the bottom part cold, so it'll stay where I put it. Come over here where you want it to secure.
Reflexing like a cat.
Looks good.
That's the metal scale coming off the fire scale that forms when it's in the forge.
Yeah, it takes the magic out of it. You know what you're doing.
That's a pretty nice twist.
Yeah, yeah.
So then what I can do now is I can cut off an area here, do the same thing on the other side, have it the other way.
Or you've got a candy cane.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah. Just fitting, my last name is Christmas.
Oh, there you go.
Of course that's fits.
Mix it up.
Everything would all goes into the front iron.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you start to see that those railings would have taken 100 hours. Like,
Yeah.
you know. Wow.
So there's always something to hear and something to see. The color of the steel and the sound of the steel. So when a guy quits school at grade 8 to become a blacksmith, he actually knows more about metallurgy than he knows that he knows.
Oh yeah.
Every time, straighten it every time for what?
This is our scissors right here. I want it shorter, so I go to the hot cut.
You about there?
Then you just bend it back and forth. No need for a saw. Unfortunately, I've been too good this year. I'll be hoping to get some coal. Right home.
You know what's unique about coal? Anytime, Dan? It's the only rock that burns. It's full of British thermal units, BTUs.
Probably should have cleaned it up and did all the other hats before I did the twist, and I got excited. So now we get creative.
Fair.
'Cause I don't want to mess up these nice lines in the twist. I'm going to do this other end, but I also need to get it hot enough in the middle of it. So it's going to be a fine line, but it'll come together.
So this bar that's on here, we call a quarter bar. Sometimes you'll weld it on.
Right. So I'm just trying to pay attention where this hook is, so I can keep the square parallel to that as I go.